Hello everyone, welcome back to the MERN Stack Laboratory series. In the previous video, we completed the installation of all the required software including Node.js, MongoDB Community Server, MongoDB Shell and MongoDB database tools. Now our environment is completely ready. Today we will perform our first MERN laboratory experiment. Before jumping into the practical, let's understand what MERN actually is. MERN is one of the most popular full-stack JavaScript technologies used for developing modern web applications. The word MERN consists of four technologies. The first letter M stands for MongoDB. MongoDB is a NoSQL database that stores our application's data. The second letter E stands for Express.js. Express.js is a backend framework built on top of Node.js. It helps us create APIs and handle client requests. The third letter R stands for React.js. React is a front-end JavaScript library used to create beautiful and interactive user interfaces. Finally, N stands for Node.js. Node.js allows us to execute JavaScript code outside the browser and run our backend application. So together, MongoDB stores the data, Express.js handles the backend, React creates the frontend, and Node.js runs the entire backend application. This combination is known as the MERN stack. Now you might have one question: if this is a MERN course, why are we starting only with MongoDB? The reason is very simple. Every application needs a database. Before developing the frontend and backend, we first need to understand how data is stored inside MongoDB. That's why our first few experiments are completely focused on MongoDB. Later, we'll integrate MongoDB with Node.js and Express.js. Today's experiment consists of two parts. First, we'll create a collection called transactions inside a database named usermanaged. Then we will import JSON data into the collection. Finally, we'll perform an upsert operation using another JSON file. Before executing the commands, let's understand a few important concepts. What is a database? A database is a collection of related data. For example, a college database may contain student details, faculty details, attendance, marks, and fee information. What is a collection? In MongoDB, instead of tables, we have collections. A collection stores multiple documents. You can think of a collection as similar to a table in SQL. What is a document? A document is a single record stored in MongoDB. Unlike SQL, MongoDB stores data in JSON-like format. Each document contains multiple fields. Now let's perform the experiment. I already have both JSON files stored inside my folder. The first file contains two transaction records. This file contains an array of JSON documents. Notice that every document has ID, transaction date, amount, description. Similarly, our second file contains additional transaction records which we will use for the upsert operation. Now we have to open the terminal, navigate to your project directory. We have to type the command which is used. This is a command which we will use for the first part of the experiment. Copy the same command and paste it here. Let's understand every part of this command. mongoimport. This command imports JSON or CSV data into MongoDB. Next, --db usermanaged. This creates or uses a database called usermanaged. If the database doesn't exist, MongoDB creates it automatically. Next, --, collection. This creates a collection called transactions. Again, if the collection doesn't already exist, MongoDB creates it automatically. Next, --, file. This specifies the input file that we want to import. Finally, --, JSonArray. This tells MongoDB that our JSON file contains an array of documents. Since our file starts with square brackets, this option is mandatory. Now let's verify whether the data has been imported successfully. You just have to open MongoDB Compass and you just have to refresh it here. New collection has been created, that is user managed. To verify this, just open this database. Then there is a collection called transaction where we have inserted two documents. Now let's perform the second part of today's experiment. We'll import another JSON file, that is transactions upsert.json. But this time, instead of simply inserting, we'll perform an upsert operation. The command is this one, where we have used a flag called upsert. What exactly is upsert? Upsert is actually a combination of two operations, update and insert. If a matching document already exists, MongoDB updates it. If the document doesn't exist, MongoDB insert it as a new document. That's why the word is called upsert. This command is almost identical to the previous one. The only additional option is --, mode, that is upsert. This tells MongoDB to perform an upsert operation. To verify this output, we have to check the user managed again. You just have to refresh it here, and within transaction we have 5 documents. That is for within the first command we have inserted 2 documents. After the second command we have inserted 3 more documents. So today we learned what MERN stack is, what MongoDB is, what is database, collection, document and JSON file, how to import JSON data into MongoDB, and finally how to perform an upsert operation using MongoImport. That's all for today's experiment. In the next video we'll learn how to query data in MongoDB using different conditions such as finding records, searching by field values, filtering user ranges and calculating aggregate values. If you found this video helpful, please like the video, share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel for the remaining MERN laboratory experiments. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.